Proverbs 21:19. It is better to live in a desert land than with a quarrelsome and fretful woman. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess there wouldn't be anything that I would disagree on that point of, is like, I think a lot of what you preach and what you talk about on this channel is focusing on yourself and being okay without a woman. I don't necessarily think all the time you're talking about, oh, women are this, women are that, and that you don't need them. But in that same regard, you would rather be by yourself working on yourself than be with a woman who makes your life a lot harder.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've all been in relationships as guys where there's been some crazy like experiences where you're just like, I would rather be just completely by myself in the middle of the jungle than be with this chick right here.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm sure a lot of you watching kind of understand that, is you've been in a place to where it'd be a lot more productive to be alone than to be with, I don't know, somebody who just makes it a lot difficult, or a lot more difficult. And that's not to say that you don't need women, because I 100% truly believe that there are good women out there. But the point is to say that it is better not to be in a bad relationship and work on yourself than it is to stay miserable in a bad relationship and not be productive at all.
I feel like it's definitely especially difficult to find a good woman in today's generation. So it's almost like I feel like we've wandered so far off from just having that type of high quality woman.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, I just tell them, like, you spending all that time and energy and investing your time on trying to find the right woman out there, it's just going to lead you to, more than likely, if you do find her, she will end up taking advantage of you too, because she has the courts on her side.
So what do you think, what role do you think social media plays in making relationships in today's time like 10 times more difficult?
Well, they can get validation and more attention than one man can ever bring to that woman. It's like she can get like 400 likes on a picture. Your one like, you complimenting her, is not ever gonna live up to her getting all of that attention from all these different guys. And she might not ever have any intention of meeting them. Most likely they're just they're her fans, but she's still getting that hit of oxytocin in her head. And it's just like, man, like her head starts to get bigger. She starts to think that she's the stuff. And it just seems like social media has turned into an advertisement platform for girlfriends and wives everywhere.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I see on your channel is you talking about high value men.
Mm.
And I believe in a high value man. I also believe in a high value woman. I think both are extremely hard to come by, like, especially now.
Yeah.
I think if you're watching this and you come from maybe the 70s, 80s, or 90s, I think you're coming from a whole different era to where media wasn't like as prevalent as it is today. Like, media is almost like a cancer in today's time, is because it validates the people who don't need validation. It spreads the what would I say? It spreads the mindset of the minority of people, to make it like.
But the minority becomes the majority because the minority sees that the majority is promoted. So
Right.
it's like, if I'm a conservative type of woman that doesn't show off my body, and I post, let's say, like, pictures with me and my family, or, you know, like, we know those girls that are out there that wear pants, and not saying that's, but she's dressed down. She's not trying to show off too much skin. She doesn't wear tight clothes all the time. Not always wearing leggings. So there's those types of women out there. They're not getting the attention that these Instagram models are, that fake titties and a big booty that they're always showing off, like posing in the mirror, you know, leg over the counter. They're not going to get that same attention and the same likes. So, but what do we see when we go on the Explore page? How many times have you seen a modestly dressed woman when you log on to Instagram or Facebook? It's like,
Yeah, you don't.
you don't.
You 100% you don't.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've been on Instagram since it came out. It's like, we see what is promoted out there, and we're seeing it from a guy's perspective. So I can only imagine being a young woman in today's generation. You see what's popular. You see OnlyFans. You see, like, hey, I can get paid if I just show a little bit of skin. I don't have to do anything too crazy. Maybe just sort of expose and exploit myself just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, hey, I get attention for free. And it's like, attention to women, what I talk about on this channel, attention for women is like oxygen. All right? It's literally, it's almost the equivalent of what it feels like for a guy to, you know what I'm saying? That's literally what it is for women. That's their oxygen. That's their hit. That's what gets them off.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like some like. Yeah, I guess that's where I would differ.
Mm-hmm.
Is I don't think that's female nature. I think that's something that has been promoted and taught to women. I think naturally,
By who?
Right. That's what I'm saying. By either culture, by media, by stigmas that we have. It's like it has been embedded in women that attention is the reward.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's something to it that our ancient ancestors, if you want to call it, they used to wrap and fully clothe women. So it was just like we'd see their eyes.
But even then, if you even look at like I guess Islamic culture, it wasn't I guess it was to suppress women, but what it says in
I think they had something to it, man. I think they knew what was up. And I think if you look at the Bible, dude, it talks, there's a lot of verses that talk about modesty and the importance of it. And I think that I'm not Muslim, but I understand that their culture values modesty tremendously, even today. And are there certain extremist views on it, and they'll severely punish you or behead you if you don't listen? Yes.
Infidels.
However, when it comes to dressing modestly, I think they knew that women really love that attention from the jump, and they quickly corrected it. And they wrote that down, and they implemented that in their book for a reason.
Yeah, I don't think they corrected it in the right way though. And even then, I don't really see. This is where we're coming from. Is like I come from more of a not level-headed as in like a bad thing, but like Elon has more of the extreme views, if you would say, and I'm more teetering in the middle to where I don't really have like an urge to like bash women, because I don't think it's their fault. I think it's collectively a culture that we've created as a society to make the minority feel welcome. So, not saying that women are the minority, but the minority mindset. So, if you go on Instagram, for instance, you see, like, you click on the Explore page, and as soon as you go on the Explore page, it is nothing but half-dressed women. And that's not, it's not like any fault of your own. Like, that's what's pushed. And there's this like huge thing about like women empowerment. So then nowadays, especially since the pandemic started,
Yeah,
like 100%, it's like 10 times worse now,
Mm-hmm.
is like when you go into women empowerment, somehow it means less clothes. And I don't know, I don't understand how that correlates. But yeah, I guess that's what I have a problem with is you don't find modesty in the current generation, like at all.
Female empowerment sounds good on paper. This is what I believe. But honestly, it's almost like a cult for pushing sexual agendas.
To some extent, yeah.
And I think it's one of the many phases that our country's starting to go through, and the whole Western society civilization, as well as, I mean, everything that starts here gets promoted through movies or whatever media because of the United States. But it's almost like we had feminism. Now we're starting to see a little bit of pedo action going on. And then, like, what's next? Is it going to be... And we saw, like, other things starting to come up. Where does it end? It's almost like...
This is actually a perfect segue into, first of all, Netflix.
Yeah.
And then you got Cardi B.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we wanted to touch on those two subjects.
Yeah, I mean, Cuties is the beginning of what I believe is... They're throwing a stone in the water.
The attempt to normalize pedophilia.
Basically.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how as a parent you can feel comfortable having your child. I mean, for no matter how much money or fame, it's just sad to see like there's parents out there that are okay with sending their daughters to do the splits and twerk for a movie in front of old directors. And
yeah, see, to some extent, I can't fully talk about it because I haven't watched the film. But if I'm uncomfortable with reading the description of the film, 100% I'm not gonna watch it. And just by watching the trailer, I can tell you I have no desire to watch that movie. And anybody who can watch that movie and fully say that there's nothing wrong with it, I think there's a huge perspective change that you need.
You're the reason that you're part of the reason to blame for the civilization collapsing. If you find no real issue with that, in my opinion, you're contributing to the fall.
Yeah, I think the way that the way that they made Cuties, it was like a double-edged sword. They were trying to bring awareness to the over-sexualization of children by overly sexualizing children. And that to me makes 100% no sense at all. And like, I guess it begs the question, like, who is going to be watching this film? Like, did you make this film for young children? I don't feel like that's what the film was catered to. I feel like you're going to get a bunch of weird old men who are watching this film. I mean, Sundance Festivals gave you an award. Didn't their co-founder just get popped for like sexual activity with a minor or being caught in the presence of minors in a bad light? Like please look at the underlying details of what is going on.
I think it's so obvious and apparent now what's going on. And if you can't see what's going on, you need to seriously do a little bit more reading and a little more soul searching and possibly think about like, which side am I going to stand on? Like, are you going to sit back and be quiet about it and just not speak up and continue to allow your children to watch whatever's promoted and pushed out? Or are you going to take a stand and have a backbone and maybe be a little controversial? Because there's not a lot of controversial people out there. I mean, there are, but I feel like not enough people are talking about it as much as there should be. There should be a ton more people talking about what's going on right now.
I think the topic of Cuties begs a real like question. So all of these women talking about women empowerment and women can wear what they want and do what they want. The less women wear, it's clear and prevalent. The less women wear, the more attention that they get from men. Like it like that. That's common sense.
They understand that,
right? If you're walking down the street in half a shirt and half a pair of shorts, 100% you're gonna get comments and looks from men. But by you saying I have every right to wear this, it doesn't make the situation any better. Just like saying it's not right to over sexualize children, but then you give a film that allows children to be over sexualized. Like, do you not see the paradox in that? Like what's the word?
Do you not see the underlying deception? Because it's
no, it's like irony. I don't
it's
know.
It's ironic, but it's not, because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're doing, but they're trying to, and they might have successfully maybe made you think that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they do, and they know what they're doing. That's why they've changed the description more than once. That's why they changed the cover more than once. And it's
exactly why the French cover was completely polar opposite to the American cover. If you pay attention, the cover that was made for the European audience was just 4 girls with a bunch of shopping bags, and they looked happy. Needless to say, in that film, or in that scene in the movie, they had just stolen all that stuff. But that's a different topic. But the American ad was them, 4 girls, 5 girls, in extremely
4.
provocative poses, and for somebody to sit there and say, "Oh, well, it's just a cover. Oh, they're not in provocative poses unless you are looking at them in a provocative way." Like, that's such BS. Like, let's be honest here.
Exactly. And it seems like there's an argument, I feel like, because I feel like in today's society, a lot of the fathers have taken more of a feminine role in the families. So
it's like it's either fathers aren't present
or they're not. Most of the time they're not even around. Yeah, most of the time. But I'm saying, let's just say there is a nuclear family. For the most part, the dad's beta as heck, and he's not going to lead that relationship in regards to, he might stand up and say, she's not watching this, and tell the mom, listen, we're not watching this movie. I'm going to monitor what we're watching. But at the end of the day, it's like he has no final say, most likely, because of the complete just gender role reversals within families. It's almost like the mom has the final say now, and the mom has the ability to just be like, listen, there's nothing wrong with this, and she can watch what she wants to watch, and you're gonna let him. And he's most likely working, or he's not even there around most of the time to step in and say, listen, no, like, that's not okay. And he's more likely, I feel like, to bend the knee when it comes to issues like this. That's just what I've noticed. I feel like there's just so many fathers out there that have been deceived and just don't even, just no backbone, no traditional masculine role where they say, no, this is how things are going to go, and I'm not going to allow this in my house.
So I definitely come from like a different background, and I guess this is a good segue into like nuclear family households and separated family households. I grew up in a 2-parent home. I was extremely blessed, and I had both my parents present in my life, and I if I'm gonna be honest, I can't sit here and say that didn't make a difference, because in my life compared to in Elon's life, or compared to other people that I know, I was extremely fortunate to have both my parents, who loved me a ton, teach me and show me what it was like to be in a nuclear household, in a 2-parent household. So what are your thoughts?
And in a Christian household.
Yeah, a Christian household.
Father's a pastor.
Exactly.
And your mom's a worship director and leader.
Right.
So it's, I mean, I've never really seen that in an environment for a long period of time. It was sort of like I'd see my dad every other weekend type of deal, and it would be either he would drop me off with a babysitter and go out and date because he was still single at the time, and he still was looking at. I now have a stepmom, but he would go out and look, or it was just like I never had that family structure, that nuclear family structure, and I've noticed maybe that's why I'm more extreme. And I feel like a lot of guys, what's the divorce rates, like almost 70% when you add up all the statistics. It's it's bad, man. And they try to hide that too. That's another topic. They try to mask the whole divorce percentages in the country to make it sound like it's better than it is. And it's about 70%, unfortunately. But just growing up without seeing that kind of structure, it really affects young men, because you don't necessarily know how to carry yourself in a masculine leadership position and lead a woman. And you're more so likely to take on the roles and characteristics of like a female and femininity in general. I've noticed it's like certain habits that you pick up just by being around your aunties, your mom, and your grandma all the time that you wouldn't necessarily have. Your father would be like, hey, knock that off. Like, don't do that. Don't cross your legs. Don't, like certain things that it's just like, or don't talk with your hands like that. But if you say that now, it's like you get deemed like a homophobic, or like it's crazy. It's like, no, like you're a man. Carry yourself like a man. You talk like a man. Like you saw that one-on-one affection, and it was like your entire life you knew that your parents had their backs and your back and your brothers.
Right. And
I don't even know what that's really like. I feel like that would be so. I feel like that's why you and your brothers turn out extremely normal. It's like you have no real issues. Like I have issues. I come on here every day and I talk about issues with guys, and there's definitely some things that you probably disagree with when you listen to my channel. It's because I've lived this life, and I tell you guys, we all come from different experiences, different walks of life. So my perspective might be more extremist because I never had that structure. So it's like, hey, like single mother, like, man, single mother. Yeah. So I might be, but listen, I love my mom and we've gotten over it. It's just, at the end of the day, like I've noticed, and we could segue into the church topic with this, because it's like, I became involved in the church in the first place because my single mom took me there. And that became my father figure, basically. Jesus became kind of like a father figure to me, right, that wasn't around the household. It was like this, it is an entity that I couldn't see, but he was a father figure to me. And like so many other young guys out there, I've noticed that Jesus takes on the role of the single mother being the father. Jesus becomes the father for the single mother.
Yeah, I just think, I think in any pain, Jesus should never be a substitute, right? He should never be something that you run to out of fear, or you run to when you're down. Like, Jesus should always be a prevalent part of your life. But often what happens is people get to rock bottom and then they run to Jesus, right? Or at least people who tend to either turn to faith or turn to Christianity. Jesus is that solid rock, right? And I think that was definitely like abundant in my household, like with my brothers, with my parents, with my dad. Like, I was never taught that like emotions were bad or emotions were weak. Because my dad wasn't emotional, but he would show emotions in a very healthy way, in order to teach that we all have emotions. We all go through either temptations, not temptations in a bad way, but having to choose between one or the other, having to choose between right or wrong. I felt like that was like a core structure in my house. So yeah. And
you looked up to that, and you were like able to see like, hey, like that's what I want to be like, kind of like, or that's how I want to lead my potential household one day.
Right. Yeah. So my dad, came from a loving home, but I mean they weren't perfect. My mom came from a Buddhist home, who later converted to Christianity once she married my father. And so I have these two extremely powerful testimonies mashed together, and then they created me and my two brothers. Both of my brothers are older than me, and so I had my parents to teach me, and I had my two brothers who I could watch and maybe see the mistakes that they made, or watch them make the right decisions, and I could learn from it. So now, me being the youngest, I have the best of my parents, I have the best and worst of my brothers that I can take and that I can learn from.
Yeah, and I think that's huge. I mean, it's different because my mom did remarry, so it's like I did have a stepfather in the household, but it's a completely different. There is a biological difference between a father and a stepfather, and I think society has tried to normalize it, like, oh, there's still a father in the household, and oh, just because he's not your biological father, there's still a masculine figure in the household. Well, not necessarily, number one, and it's different. It's not the same, and I'm sure some of you guys out there that come from broken families, you understand that it's not the same as having your father around and knowing that your father is just there for you, you know? Like, he's there for you, and he most likely is similar to you, so you guys have similar interests, and you guys can just talk about life, and he can teach you how to be a man. I feel like I never learned how to be a man, and I had to grow up basically figuring out how to be a man by the internet. Honestly, the internet helped a lot with just guys on YouTube or reading articles, or I just follow guys that were ahead of me in life or where I wanted to be, that I felt were kind of like parental figures for me, and I just picked up listening to them, and they've helped me significantly. But yeah, there's a huge difference from a biological to a stepdad to an online father, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of segue into a new light, to where fatherhood is not prioritized. I think that's a big thing in our generations, and to be completely honest, I think it's a ripple effect from past generations or past eras. So you got all the
baby boomers.
Yeah, exactly. You got all the hippies. You got all the hippies who are saying, "Oh, just love," and they're kind of throwing out the structural integrity of the actual like nuclear family construct, and they're saying, "Oh, all you need is love," but then leaving out the rest of the puzzle. So now you have all these kids. If you're just tuning in, this is Young Men's Daily Red Pill. My name is Jordan. I also have a channel, J to the Nines. If you're ever interested in maybe basketball content, sneaker content, go ahead and check my videos out. Subscribe to my channel. So I was making the point that I feel like today's generation is the product of past generations, obviously, right? That's a given, but I think a lot of the kids that are coming out today were raised by people who were raised in the 70s, in the 60s, 70s more so, and you get all these people who are hippies saying that all you need is love,
not thinking about the future and long-term effects.
Exactly, and taking Christ, taking the
accountability,
right,
responsibility,
taking all
direction,
those puzzle pieces out,
throw that out the window, literally.
Exactly, and giving their children
what feels good now. That's exactly what I want. I want what feels good now, and what feels good now is just sleeping with everyone. Who cares about pair bonding? Who cares about my future kids, generation? Who cares about saving money? Let's just smoke.
Who cares about health?
Yeah, exactly. The majority of homeless people are baby boomers too. So it's like they weren't thinking clearly, and they had such a good example in front of them with the generation. I think it's the silent generation, or the greatest generation. The greatest generation was right before them, and these guys were tough. You know, like World War II. they knew their heads were on straight, and they gave them maybe they didn't give them the right direction, but they should have. I think the baby boomers should have looked at the Greatest Generation and taken some of their playbook, because they completely just threw it out the window. And then now what we see is the ripple effects of it years later, and each generation now has progressively gotten worse, and it's going to continue to get worse. You thought the millennials were bad, now Gen Z we're seeing is just as bad, if not even worse than the millennials. It's like, where does it end? The centennials, or how are they going to be? They have Instagram thrown in their face, and now TikTok, and all these movies coming out now. Everything's okay, everything's free love still. So where does it end? Where is that line in the sand as a society where we're going to say, no, this is not okay. This is what you were born as. This is what you were born as. And that's all there is to it. There's nothing in between. We're not going to confuse the children anymore. We're not going to take the fathers out. You're not strong and independent. You're really not. All right? The government doesn't count as a father. The government's not your father figure. Yes, they tried, but we see how that's turned out. All right, they try to replace fathers with the government and welfare and food stamps, and we see how bad it's just turned out. I mean, it's just it's sad to see. It's really sad to see, and that's really one of the main reasons I try to talk about it and bring it up all the time, because it's like seeing a slow train wreck or a slow car accident, and just I'm not going to stand by and just watch it. Yeah, I might watch it, but I want to say, hey, be careful, like that you're gonna die. Like the train's coming towards you. Get out of the way.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think to some extent, growing up with you and knowing you, I'm able to siphon that out of your videos.
Yeah.
But I think somebody who's a new viewer, somebody who's checking in, probably just trying to see what this guy's about, it'd be a lot harder to differentiate between hey, I'm trying to warn you guys, hey, I'm trying to tell you so that you don't get hurt. It's a lot harder to, I guess, pull that out of what you say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of. I feel like I hate sugarcoating things.
No,
and
yeah,
I hate that cookie cutter PC talk, which is why a lot of my videos don't get any ads.
Yeah.
But I just if I see an injustice, dude, I like to call it out for what it is, and I'm not gonna sit back and be quiet, because I feel like that happens far too often. And yes, while I've checked out of certain things, I like to warn others and tell others, hey, listen, there's a life vest and a boat on the side, and an extra boat on the side of the Titanic, and we can get off this ship before it sinks. Straight up, like, we can get off. And I see guys continuing to make the same mistakes, and I see them falling victim to thinking with this head instead of this head. And thinking logically and about situations. And it's frustrating to see, and I don't see any male leadership. Male leadership gets shat on, if we should call it that, and torn down. Like when we were at the wedding, how were they describing the groom? Negatively.
Yeah, I guess not to go into too much detail.
Yeah, but it's a norm now. It's an accustomed norm to put down the groom.
Exactly, but basically, it was the whole wedding was, this guy's lucky to have you, and to some extent, I agree with that, but it should be both ways. Like you guys should be one unit. Pairing together. It's not just, oh, you don't deserve this gorgeous lady, you're lucky. Like that. I just, at some point I was almost like uncomfortable because I felt bad. Because it's like
every other speech was putting this guy down basically and saying, hey, you're a lucky bastard, you son of a gun.
Yeah.
Get with my daughter, my best friend, my aunt, whatever role she played in their life. And it's like, well, do you even think about, like, hey, do guys even have feelings? Do you even care? Does it, are we, like, you know, it seems like we're so accustomed to that. Can you imagine the reversal, guys? And I think this is why a lot of people think my content's so controversial, because I challenge it and I go the other way. I put the spotlight on women and I don't put it on just men, which is what society's used to. And I get hell for it. I get crazy, hateful emails. But it's like, you see it all the time, bashing of men. I'm just calling out certain things about women, all right? And I tell you, I don't tell you to hate women. I tell you to understand them. But once you understand them, it's difficult for you, and you can't love them, unfortunately. You can't do both. You got to choose one or the other.
I don't know if I agree with that, but... So, okay.
Well, wait. What do you not agree with?
I don't think it's impossible to love women.
Well, I feel like if you love them, you still haven't fully understood how a woman is.
Yeah,
her true nature.
But I don't agree with that. I think, I guess, and not saying any knock to your mom, because I love your mom and your mom's done a great job, but I've come from a household of a very strong woman. My mom's very strong. A lot of people are intimidated by my mom's strength, and they say that she's aggressive. But in no way do I think my mom's aggressive. My mom's a very strong and powerful woman. Not in stature, because my mom's shorter than me. But it's the way that she carries herself. It's who she finds her identity in, which is Christ, and it's what she understands. To say to that is like, I 100% truly believe that my mom is not the only good woman out there. I think in today's time, the chance of you finding a woman like that, the chance of you finding a woman or a man raised in that nuclear household is, like slim to none. I'm not saying they're not out there. I'm just saying in today's time, I feel like church, I feel like being a Christ follower, I feel like being conservative, I feel like being modest. These are all things that are feminine, not promoted. Yeah. I feel like these things are not promoted. So then what happens? You get women who are not modest. You get women who don't have religious values. Not saying that religion is always the answer, because
a lot of women use religion as a crutch, I've noticed, or like
crutch for what?
It's kind of like they go to church and they put on the sheep's clothing, but they're actually a wolf once they get the man that they want in church. And I've seen this happen and play out with some different people in church once they've gotten married. And it's like the bait and switch. They use church as a tool, like a single mother. Oh, I'm trying to change my life and get better with Jesus. And then they get in church, they get that guy, the beta male that they tricked, and then they end up switching on him. Not saying like he should have picked up on signs, obviously, but not a lot of guys, because of the lack of fathers in the household, have this kind of information where they're able to decipher and read women very well. But
to that I say, to some extent, that is the man's fault. And,
100%.
And so I think what Young Men's Daily Red Pill, and I think what this whole channel is about is exposing the faults of the female in today's society.
Well, I call out simps as well.
Right. To some extent, I agree with that. But at the same time, I feel like if men had better values, or if men looked for better values in a woman, I think half of you guys wouldn't deal with these problems. Does that make sense? So, does that make sense?
Yes, and it's really unfortunate. It seems like the women that have better values, they're not as attractive, and that's a huge thing for men. It's like we're very visual creatures, and it comes down to a lot of the times attraction, and these women that are really attractive, they carry a lot of baggage, because I feel like they've been given so much attention and privilege. They've had that princess mindset for all these years, because they've had things handed to them. So when you try to correct them and put them in their place, it's like what? That's never happened to me before. Like they'll have an attitude. They're more difficult.
Right. Or they'll be like, oh, I don't deserve this.
Exactly.
I'll find somebody who doesn't talk back to me or something.
Exactly. And then it seems like the heavier set women,
no,
and the women that don't look as good, they tend to be, for the most part, a little bit nicer when it comes to listening to directions. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes though, I'd say more than the really attractive women. And it's like, it's difficult to. It's difficult. It's kind of like it's a cruel joke on men almost and women, because there's a trade-off when it comes to that. There is a trade-off, and I feel like you almost have to. You can't get with what you really want as a man. Never. Like the really attractive women more than likely are sleeping around in today's generation. That's the truth. So it's like, it's not more than likely they are.
Yeah. To like 90% I agree with that. I guess so. In society, and I do truly believe that this is right. I believe people who have more of an attractive face or figure are coddled. Everything is thrown at them. Everything is given to them. If you can use your appearance as a tool, things will be handed to you 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's like 80% women and like 20% men. I think men are based off of what they provide, and women are based off of their appearance. Not saying that it's right, not saying that I'm 100% right. Please, if you disagree with me, go ahead and comment down below. But I truly believe that women are judged and based off of their appearance, and then men are based off of either how much money they make, what job they do, how strong they are, and things like that. And so
and I think it's getting worse. And I think because of social media, it's so superficial. It's like,
right.
If you have a status on Instagram, you have a little check mark or whatever, you have thousands of followers, you're going to get, I'd say, 90% of women, maybe even more. And it could just be based off of that for the most part. And I think personally, looks matter so much more now because of social media that it's like, it's almost really discouraging for guys that might not be as tall or as masculine looking, and they get forced almost into a beta type of role just by default by society. And I feel like they don't even know they don't know any better. Like, they can't control certain factors like their height or their genetics. Yeah, they can lose weight a little bit, but hey, you have a messed up face or whatever, and you have scars from whatever accidents. Not everyone can afford plastic surgery. I can't put another spine on top of your spine and make you 7 foot tall.
Right.
So, and unfortunately, women do value those kinds of things as well. And a lot of times it's money and looks that I feel like are huge.
I think. Okay, so let's use this to segue into. So we talk about female appearance, right? So let's use this, and this kind of ties into our Netflix conversation. But Cardi B and her new song, WAP. So for this song to be made in this generation, I know that we had like who would make songs like that in like
Lil' Kim?
2000s? Yeah. Lil' Kim.
Nicki Minaj.
Right, but they weren't like headline like top 3 song of the song of the week. They weren't like heavily played on the radio. Like, dude, I turn on the radio and this is the first song I hear every morning.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think about WAP? And what do you think? What do you think? I guess. What do you think the effects on society it would have?
It's gonna destroy the family unit. It's going to ruin a lot of these young women's lives that are listening to it.
Yeah.
Forever. And they're gonna listen to it, think, hey, I can do the same thing, and look at Cardi B, look at Megan Thee Stallion, making millions of dollars. They're on Instagram flexing in their cars or supercars, but they don't realize that these women are being used as props to keep you down, as whatever background you come from. They're being used as props to keep you down and keep you plugged in the matrix.
Exactly. Please tell me what business Cardi B has in the music industry. Why is she rapping? She was a stripper.
Why is she talking about politics?
Exactly. I guess that's part of society's issue too. Is you're taking somebody who is not talented or gifted in a specific industry. They're just popular.
Facts.
And you're allowing them to move over into something that they shouldn't be in. Dude, she's a stripper. And she's blatantly talked about drugging men and taking their money. Why is this person a figure in today's society? Like, why? And on top of that, as a woman, why would you ever feel the need to take advice from somebody like this? Just because she has money? Like, how does that make sense? You know?
She's been given that money and that power. I've heard that maybe she doesn't necessarily write all of her raps and her verses.
Oh, dude, if you have money, you can pay to be a rapper.
Exactly.
Like, and I'm not saying.
And if you do certain activities to certain people in the industry,
you can get what you want.
You can work your way up.
Yeah, you can get what you want.
And we know, come on, we know these girls are doing this, obviously, and it's apparent now. Like, we see it, and it's like the quickest way to fame is how promiscuous can I be with high status figures, and then how can I capitalize and make it sound interesting and put it in front of a large audience and be loud about it and independent.
Right. And I guess the headlines are what like struck me the most about this song is like I don't understand. I don't understand what part of this song was empowering. Like,
maybe because not everyone has a WAP. I mean, I would be mad if I didn't have a WAP. I mean, I don't.
But
now every chick thinks they have WAP. You ain't got WAP. You got a disease.
Know. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, and another thing is, she has a child. She has a young daughter, I believe. Culture. So what example exactly are you giving your daughter? And then other moms out there, you're leading just such a bad example. And we tend to place the world's biggest idiots on the highest pedestals in positions to influence people.
And to some
that
extent,
has to end.
And to some extent, I feel like people do it out of the irony. Like, people do it because they understand that this, like, she is not a figure. Like, she should not be a figure. But people do it, like, for, like, shits and giggles. And I don't get that. Am I not supposed to cuss?
No, you're good. You're good.
Cool,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, but I feel like that ties into the Netflix movie, the Cuties movie that we were talking about earlier.
How would you say it ties in?
I would say that it ties into where the same type of empowerment, trying to empower children to take hold of their sexuality. There's a reason why children do not have a sexuality, and there's a reason why there's the age of consent, and there's a reason why 18 is the legal age of an adult. Like, kids who are young, who are not developed, who are pre-developed, they should not be accepting any type of sexuality. Like that is a huge problem. Is how can you accept a sexuality when you you haven't fully matured. You don't even really know who you are yet. When I was 11 years old, like I wasn't even like fully grown yet. Like I didn't know what I wanted. So for you to sit here and say that, oh, an 11-year-old should have the ability to embrace her sexuality, no. And I feel like it is.
She doesn't know what she wants. She just wants to play, man. She
exactly. And I feel like that's where the responsibility of the adult comes in. But when you have adults who take no responsibility for teaching their children what it's like to be a man, what it's like to be a woman, then you have no structure in that. And then you have children twerking and thinking they can pull up their shirt and thinking that it'll get them the right attention, when that's just not the case at all. And I have no idea why that was published.
And Cutie seems kind of like, I would say they'd say it's empowering, because it's like, here's this little girl that's embracing becoming a woman. You can't becoming a woman at 13 or 11 years old.
She's 11.
Or 11.
She's 11. And in the trailer,
yeah,
her mom's like, or I think it's like her aunt or something. She's like, "You're now a woman."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, you're 11 years old."
And it's what's going to be next? Is going to be like 5-year-olds or something, like in the crib, like they're going to be empowered and they're going to be dancing to like Rockabye Baby and twerking. Like, it's like, where is this going? Like, there seems to be no end to it.
It's going to babies. It's going to people who
and then animals. Watch.
Animals.
Watch.
What do you mean animals?
I think it's gonna go. I think we're going to PD. I'm just gonna say that, and then I think it goes to animals. Like activities with animals, and then I think it's gonna go towards something else after, and I'm not sure, and I don't know.
Well, now it's going.
It could just.
Now it's going to
objects.
No, now it's going to.
That's why I said PD.
Oh shit.
It's all good. I said it down.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can pick back up.
Yeah. Now it's going to 40-year-old men identifying as 12 years old.
Yeah. That's
like, and you
unbelievable.
Like these are actually headlines that happen.
Unbelievable. And yeah, I think that's the next big push. I think that's what they're going to start promoting in music. We're going to see a lot of that becoming more accepted, and if you speak out about it, you're not progressive, you're traditional, and you're racist, or I don't know, they throw out all types of isms at you. So it's like, you can't, if you have a different opinion that seems more conservative, that seems more like traditional value based, then you get thrown out immediately and you get canned, and you basically have to figure out how to work for yourself and have people that have the same viewpoints as you help you build something, because no major media network is going to help you. No real sponsors necessarily are going to help you, because everyone's worried about getting canned. Everyone's worried about speaking out of turn. Everyone has to be politically correct. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's just there's no end to this madness once they've opened Pandora's box.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of what people are talking about, is like, there is no end. So once you open the door's open.
Because everything's now acceptable then.
Right. And I'm not going to say that I 100% agree with religion, because I do believe that there are people who misconstrue religion into something that will benefit themselves. But I do believe that Christians in the early days were onto something and had it right. But nowadays, there's so much more distractions, and there's so much more things and sins that tell you, no, this is right. No, you don't have to, don't read that. Like, there's so much more distractions nowadays that it's a lot harder to actually stick to the core values of what the scriptures say.
Mm-hmm. And yeah. I've noticed there's a difference in translation between the King James and the ESV in regards to
it's soft.
Yes,
it's soft.
It's like basically they've taken out certain hardcore truths that are real, and then they've softened them up. in order to push this feminism even within the church. There's a lot of feminism in the church. Yeah. And I've noticed, I don't know how they did it, they slowly infiltrated, and they've made it a place now of redemption instead of like hard truths that need to be talked about.
Yeah, I think
feel good messages.
Yeah, I think we're moving away from we're moving away from what like biblical text actually says, and we're moving into what's fair, because I believe that biblical scripture is right, no matter if it's fair to one and not fair to another. I believe it's right. So, but we're moving into, that's not fair to men, or that's not fair to women, so we should change that. I don't think that's necessarily like the right thing to do. I think scripture was, God breathed, and it was given for a reason. I don't think it was given to change, right? So
I think it was given to hold people accountable.
Right.
Like, a society without rules we're no better than animals, honestly, at that point.
And that's basically what we're moving to, is there's always going to be somebody on the other side of a rule. Like, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't want a rule. Somebody who says, you can't break into a store, you can't loot a store. And then you're always going to have people, I don't have enough money to buy food, so I'm going to break in and take what I want. I don't have enough time because I'm always working to go get stuff, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to steal somebody's car. I don't have a means to work, so I'm going to steal somebody's car. I don't make enough money at work, so I'm going to break into this person's car and go sell it. Like, there's always going to be somebody on the other side of a rule. But I guess the norm now is, we don't have to listen to rules if they don't treat everybody fairly. Like, that's not the point of rules.
And we've allowed, in my opinion, a lot of leadership that is soft.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of feelings and emotions involved, unfortunately, and it's almost like I've noticed that, like I said, men have been completely, it seems like, replaced, and women are taking the leadership role, and now we're seeing, this is what a society looks like when that's the case. Our next topic we're going to be talking about has to do with the attack dogs. the beta attack dogs that always pretend to be alpha and pretend to be in charge of a situation, but in reality they're just insecure and they're trying to put on a front or a mask because they're insecure about themselves, and they try to either shake your hand extra hard or stare you down or grab their girl when you're walking by. I've noticed there's just such a rise in this, and it just all stems from insecurity. A lot of guys they're very insecure, and they masquerade around as these tough guys and this and that and the other, and it's like they're attack dogs, and they will defend and kill for the female. They will kill you. I'm not joking, guys.
Yeah. I think that's a big misconception. Is like insecurities are normal, and to some extent they are. But insecurities should not be a means of what control your thoughts and your actions. And I think that's something that's normalized when a girl is jealous or insecure. She has every means to hit you and every means to say whatever she wants to you because she's hurt. I don't believe that's right. But at the same time, I also don't believe, like we were just talking about, like when you go to the store or something, like you get that random couple that like you're walking down an aisle, and then the guy will like pull his girl closer to her or like step in front of his girl, and you're like, dude, I'm just trying to shop. Like, it's not even that. It's not that serious. Or what happened to me today at the wedding is like I don't know, somebody just gives you a handshake, but like there's a difference between a firm handshake and like somebody's trying to like prove who's got the bigger thing, you know?
There's an extra little, you know?
Yeah, it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, and it's not a nice, it's like a, you better not tonight, like, you better not do any type of shit. Like, so, I've noticed that too. It's like, I'm talking loud. I've noticed that too. It's just like, man, chill, dude. Like, if you're so secure in yourself, you wouldn't care about that. And if you feel that way, well, maybe you should consider exiting that relationship, you know, because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for that man to be an attack dog. It really isn't. And he's going to end up getting himself in a situation that, you know, you do that to the wrong person and he might snap.
Or they'll say something back to you and embarrass you in front of the person you're trying to flex in front of. So it's a lose-lose. You know, what?
It's a kind of a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, it's just, I've never understood, I've never understood that part. I understand respect, I understand manners, and I understand the importance of a firm handshake. Like, I get that, but there's a difference between a firm handshake and trying to break somebody's hand to prove who's alpha. Like, if you have to prove you're alpha, you're not.
Exactly.
You know?
The guy that says he's alpha is never alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and alpha's not an image. And I've been trying to tell people, it's not the buff guy at the gym that squats 600 pounds. Like, it's not the guy with like the jug. You know, what do they call it at Planet Fitness where it's like the lunk alarm? Lunk alarm. Yeah, it's not that guy. You know, we all have that picture of the guy, the string tank top.
You know, I'm not allowed in Planet Fitness.
Really?
Yeah, because I wore the... It wasn't even
We can even go into that, how ridiculous that... And then you got girls wearing gray leggings and they're
showing
allowed.
Everything.
Yeah, like...
Showing everything. Everything's
like... Like, dude, what? Because they pull it up. They pull it all the way up and it's just So I can't go in here and wear something to encourage me, because that's what I wear tank tops for. It's not for anyone else. I like looking at my arms in the mirror.
Yeah, see, that's the thing too, is like, I'm not an extremely built guy. I'm not super muscular or anything like that. I just wear a tank top because especially like when I bench press or something, it'll rub on like the sides of my chest and then it'll hurt. So I don't wear a shirt when I'm gonna do chest day. I wear a tank top. And so I ended up going into Planet Fitness and I was wearing like a regular tank top. I guess it was like a size too big. Yeah, and they kicked me out. And so I can't go to Planet Fitness anymore.
Yeah. I've been kicked out of my college gym because I wore, it was like a sleeveless shirt and I had a hoodie on. But I got kicked out for that. They said I was showing my nipple. They actually said, you're showing your nipple every time you go like this. And I was like, are you serious? Yeah, you need to change your shirt.
That's wild.
And I was like, what? And there's a girl right next to me squatting in front of the curl rack. And she's like wearing white or gray leggings with her friend. And it's just like, clearly they're in there not to work out. They're in there for attention.
Yeah.
They're on their phones. It's like they're taking pictures and it's just like there's such a double standard in just regards to the gym that we could go on and on about. Because can you imagine them kicking out a girl for wearing the wrong color leggings? That's never gonna happen.
Yeah,
never in today's society. Yeah, right.
Yeah, because again, about what we talked about earlier, it's all about empowering women.
Yeah, and
somehow part of empowering women is disregarding the things that they do wrong.
Yeah.
And not calling them out for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We as a society have taken on the role of like a father that's very, I would say, a very lenient father, but a father that is kind of like treats you know, the father that treats like the daughter like a princess, and then the daughter grows up and is spoiled, and she expects things. That's kind of what we've done.
Yeah. I also think there's fault in that, to where you treat her like a princess, but then you don't treat her, or you don't teach her how to be a woman. So you cater to her and you you
I'd
raise her to believe that any man in your life would provide everything for you, and you wouldn't have to work for any of it because you're this dainty little princess. And I think that also causes issues in how people grow up and how people learn. So, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of feminine traits and characteristics that are missing. Like, I don't really know. I'd say like 8, maybe 9 out of 10 girls don't know how to cook.
Now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now. I'm talking about like our generation, Gen Z.
And I guess you could say that this is misogynistic or whatever you want to call it, but the typical things that women, I guess, normally do, like cook, like the things that my mom does, things that my grandmother does, you just don't find them in today's women. Like they barely know how to cook, they barely know how to clean. Like, it's just like
they're more defiant to serve the man. And it's like, it's almost like if you want to sit on the couch as a guy, if you're in a long-term relationship, and have your wife get you a beer from the fridge and something to eat, that's a whole, oh my God. And then
it turns into this whole sexist conversation.
I'm not your slave. It's like, we're not asking you, we're not saying you're our slave. We just want to be taken care of, you know? Yeah. We love femininity. We like that. So the BS that the media pushes out and that's promoted all the time nowadays, that ruins women, because it's just like they don't know what it's like to be feminine. And they think it's almost like something horrible.
I guess to wrap everything up, in my humble opinion, I do believe that there are good women and good men out there. I think ultimately it comes down to the parents and the roles that are used to raise these individuals. And I feel like in 2020, in today's time, those roles are like reversed. Yeah. And those roles are either reversed or non-existent, to where now a nuclear family is hard to find, is weird, and so it's definitely a weird time to be in, especially with like the conception of women's rights and I don't know, just the over sexualization that women's rights seem to portray and say that is okay. And then what else? Yeah, just protests. That stuff is weird. What else?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a hell of a ride the next 10 years.
Yeah.
The next year is gonna be a hell of a ride, but the next 10 years.
Come December, don't be surprised if we're in an all-out war.
Well, I think there will be a civil war.
Yeah.
I think that's inevitable,
but that's a different topic.
There might be a gender war too. You don't know. So
could be.
There's a lot of just animosity going around, and I'm hoping that there's some voice of reason, and that there's not a lot of guys that get too hateful. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get too angry. Just understand it, apply it, and just do your own thing. You know, focus on yourself right now. Focus on being the best version of yourself.
Because ultimately, like, if we're being honest, if you are not the best version of yourself at the moment, whoever you're dealing with, whatever relationship you're in, they're not getting the best version of you. So if something goes south or if something goes wrong, you still need to understand that, okay, well, this isn't the best version of me that I'm giving. So yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of women bashing on this channel, which I understand.
I don't think it's women bashing. I think it's correcting.
Right. Yeah. But I feel like that stems from a man's inability to work on himself. So when Elon says, focus on yourself, be alone, I 100% agree with that. But understand that if you're working on yourself, understand that not everything that you do is 100% correct.
That's true. I agree. But I think a lot of guys are starting to realize they're more effective by themselves than with today's modern women.
Right. But you're not going to tell me that every single guy that's watching your channel is going to stay 100 feet away from a woman at all times.
No, I never said that. I'm just saying don't be in a long-term committed relationship and don't take her seriously and don't listen to what she says.
Well, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hopefully we can do this more often. If you guys liked it, drop a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, make sure you follow him on his channel.
Follow my channel, Jades and the Nines. It's on the whiteboard right here. We'll put it up on the screen.
You can follow me, my IG right there.
Yeah, so I make basketball content. I share a little bit about my life, and my big thing right now is I'm going through my second ACL reconstructive surgery recovery. So I do a couple episodes on that. I don't have a ton of videos up right now, but I'm working on them. But yeah, if you could subscribe to me. If you're not subscribed to Elon, subscribe to him. And yeah.
Yep. Appreciate you guys taking your time out of your day to listen. We'll be back with more in the future. Stay blessed. Stay red pill, guys. Have a good one.
Peace.